Without a doubt, Spy Family is the anime of the season for spring 2022. Similar to how Bakuman uses the shonen format to tell a story about creating shonen manga, or Hosoku Geki no Soma uses the format to create an interesting and engaging cooking shonen, Spy Family is the family shonen. It uses all of the mechanics of its genre to its full potential to tell a story about family. Now we'll be covering episode 1 to 3. By the time this video comes out, I'm sure episode 5 will be out. But I think the first 3 episodes are a good example of what the show is about. And we'll cover one little scene in episode 4, which really cemented the idea that this is a shonen about family. That it's not about the spies, that's just the spin the show wants to take. Lloyd Forger could be anything else. He could be a ninja, he could be a Viking, he could be whatever. But the story really wouldn't change, as it's a story about him being a father.
うちで最も腕の立つエージェント、黄昏。さあ、約束のものを渡してもらおうか。
コードネーム、黄昏。男はスパイだった。
The show immediately established Lloyd as a man who's proficient at his job. He's the top of his class, so much so that he's abandoned doing anything else in his life outside of his job. And this is why I say he could literally be anything. As it doesn't matter, we just need to know that he's top of his class and that he'll be put in the position of fish out of water, that being of a father.
標的は国家統一党総裁ドノバン・デズモンドのためにまず結婚して子供をこさえろ。子供をこの学校へ入学させ、勲章もなく新聞の片隅に載ることもない。
Now what we can look at is the 6 questions of plot. Now the 6 questions of plot should work with just about any character. Only badly written ones will never have these answered. Who's the story about? I believe it's actually about Anya, as she's the one who can grow in this story, but we'll talk about that later when she shows up. So let's just use Lloyd, top of his class. What do they want? They want to achieve the mission that they were sent to do. Why can't they get it? Because they don't have a family. So what do they do about it? They get a family. And the obstacle itself is family. The issues that arise when being a parent, having a healthy relationship with your significant other, teaching your children right from wrong, managing your family within society. Everything that comes down to Lloyd's problems will end up being a problem of, how do I solve this family issue? It's the hurdle of family that keeps coming up every single time. Those are his biggest obstacles. And of course we can't answer how does it end since the series isn't over yet, but we can see how he solves each individual problem when it comes up.
里親になりたい？おい、アーニャ。うちで一番賢い。不気味でいけすかんガキだからな。就学年齢は6歳から。この子はどう見ても4、5歳かそこら。ん？いや、身長とか。クロスワード。縦1はホメオスタシス。できたの？マジで？この子にします。
Now we're introduced to Anya, who is an esper. She can read the minds of other people. And due to her power, she's been ostracized from every family that she's been in. It's more upsetting to see that people have negative thoughts about her all the time. So now we can see the true nature of the people in this world through Anya. And I think it's better to see it through someone like Anya, who is naive and optimistic, instead of someone like Twilight, who is far more methodical and pragmatic. If he had this ability, he wouldn't have as many troubles, so it's not as interesting. Now Anya is a test subject, raised in the facility to learn how to cultivate her powers more easily. I'm sure the people were trying to use it for nefarious deeds, but she ran away from the facility. And overall, I really do like Anya. I think she is a good portrayal of a kid in anime. A lot of time we get kids in anime that end up talking like 30-year-olds, or they're just super portrayed weirdly. I think she's pretty good when it comes to the portrayal of a child. She also has a very stellar character design, the really bright green eyes and the pink bobbed hair. I want to know why her hair is pink. Like, no other character has weird color hair but her. I'm sure it's just protagonist syndrome, but who knows? Maybe it could be something else. So Anya and Twilight have a great dynamic. He already fits to the father world with his quick retorts. I really do like him. I like really fast-witted people like that.
いいか、お嬢ちゃん。アーニャ。いいか、アーニャ。俺のことはお父様と呼ぶように。父。よし。ずっと前から父の子供のアーニャです。お？いらんこと言うな。アーニャ、音の出ないピストル欲しい。はいはい、売ってたらな。なぜ目立つ？この生き物について。アーニャを知ると世界が平和に。ベーカリーはカリカリベーコンって意味じゃないぞ。こいつ実は頭良くない？他の子に変えた方が。どうした急に？
And overall, I think it's a very funny dynamic they have. This episode is solely focused on the development between these two characters, which is nice. The pacing is not too fast. We don't introduce a ton of characters in this episode. Everything is placed for a reason. Even the thugs at the end are there just to show us Twilight's abilities.
新しい通信を傍受しました。黄昏参上。お兄さんこちら。発信源の特性急げ。なんだこいつら。さらわれた。
Despite its very wholesome comedic nature, it is kinda dark.
まさか黄昏の人質として使えそうならこいつを盾にとってズラはもう諦めた方が。音の出ないピストル。
A guy getting shot straight in the head. We'll even see a character with blood-stained weapons. Now my question is, like, how far are they really gonna go? I can't expect too much, but we do have an assassin in the cast.
よくやった。またやられた。だからガキは。そうか。子供が泣いていると腹が立つ理由がなんとなく分かったぞ。
So after Anya gets captured, Lloyd comes out to save her. And since we know he's the best of his class, we're not really worried about him losing. There's no real struggle here. Again, this isn't the point. The point isn't to see him struggle with this kind of stuff. For the most part, it seems like his struggles as a spy, as a fighter, are really going to be played off as comedy sometimes. This is kind of similar to a One Punch Man character, where we know Twilight is so capable in his field. If he's going to lose or he's going to be in real trouble, it's only going to be because a gag wants to be played or something else is more important in that scene that needs to be shown. But with that, we have a final bonding scene between Anya and Lloyd, which I think really works well. He has finally accepted his role as her father. He didn't want to leave this child behind. He wanted to create a world where children don't have to suffer anymore. Despite his job being particularly violent, Lloyd himself is a very good person. I know media affects us so much now, more than ever. I hope the only takeaway that people find from this show is wanting to create a better future for the children that we have now. Children are the minds of our future. We need to cultivate them into the best way possible. And by the end of the first episode, Lloyd is one step closer to his objective, which is to have a child and get them into the Eden College to get to his target. And with that, episode 1 is done. Again, really nice episode. I liked it a lot. The pacing isn't too fast. We focus solely on the relationship between Anya and Twilight. And that's one thing I can say that's consistent for all of the episodes so far, is that the pacing has been consistent. All of the scenes stay around long enough to stick to you. The show's taken its time to get to the points that it wants to. Episode 2 has the opening in it. Once again, another opening I really like. Very stylistic opening. You know, it starts with this really epic cutscene and then jumps into this childlike picture book design, focusing on Anya, which is why I say Anya is the main character, because she's so central to the opening and ending of the show. And it's a bold move to go with the opening like this, really stick with this aesthetic for a good portion of it, and then switches back to a more Sakuga focused visuals. Yeah, I love this opening because it takes so many design risks. I would rather see more ambitious openings rather than plain and generic ones. Episode 2 is focused on the introduction of Yor, Twilight's soon-to-be wife. By day, she works as a civil servant, by night, an assassin. Yor's central conflict is that she's trying to live a normal life in order to prevent her brother from worrying about her. Her current obstacle is that she doesn't have a partner and looks suspicious because of that. As in this world, people are called out all the time for not fitting into society. And by coincidence, Yor and Twilight meet at the same shop. And Anya, with her mind-reading abilities, decides to be her father's wingman and help confirm a date. Now, unfortunately for Lloyd, he's a little bit late to the date because he has a mission to go to, so he's really pushing it for time. And there's one funny scene. I love it. I love it so much. It's really hilarious.
一人当たり10秒もかけてられん。
And that's why I say, like, he's your Saitama of this show. I mean, I guess both him and Yor are both the Saitama of the show. Their only real weakness being parenting.
遅いです夜先輩。彼と一緒に来るって聞いてましたけど。来りすぎ。嘘つきは通報しちゃう。いい人連れてきたって伝えといてくれませんか。そこまでして見え張りたいんですか。人の男と勝手に喋んな。気にぼっちできたって言っとくわ。肩に何か毒があるのでしょうか。すごい。あれがきっと普通なのでしょうね。
Now, so far within the first 4 episodes, this show will do this quite often, where it will show the bad nature of people in society. And I find it a bit ironic since people want to call this show out for this, that, and another, but kind of exemplify the bad people in society this show is calling out. And that's all while Yor and Twilight are both in jobs that involve harming other people, yet they end up looking like the better individuals. That's why I just want to reiterate again, hopefully that people who watch this show will come out realizing that they shouldn't be the worst versions of themselves, the ones that help anyone who's in need, that will hopefully at least be a little altruistic instead of selfish.
ここでおいとま。
遅くなり申し訳ない。夜の夫のロイド・フォージャーです。
呼び立て良いのですが。
しまった。ああ、フォージャーさん。休館が少々暴れまして、精神科医の仕事にはよくあることなんです。楽しんでたかい、夜。
And Lloyd is a perfect actor. Again, a really funny scene, right? Like, if he's gonna lose, it's gonna be played as a joke.
恥かかせてやるわ。あ、足がもつれてる。レンジャーさんご存知？
フォージャーです。
この人ね、ホテルとかでマッサージするんでしたっけ？やらしい。
誰かのために、何かのために過酷な仕事に耐え続けることは、ここでは務まりません。それは誇るべきことです。
And the message shines through once again. Doing your absolute best for others. Not an uncommon element to have in the Shonen story, to be honest, as it's some of the values that Shonen Jump loves to push.
ご提案なのですが。
何？密輸組織の残党？
何ですか？あの方たち。
患者のヒステリーがまだ収まってなかったようで。
患者さんを殴ったりして。
近年の医学界ではオーダ療法というのが最先端でして。
Yes, please don't beat up your patients.
結婚しませんか？
はい？
それだけで怪しまれてしまうらしいので。
では帰りに役所によって手続きを。辞める時もどんな困難が訪れようとも共に助けよう。
And now the two are finally wedded, well, soon to be. My biggest question is, when will they both be found out by each other? Sooner or later, their jobs will probably intertwine. Personally, I want them to have a happy ending, but I could see this leading up to a conflict between the two. But I'm hoping it all plays out well enough, and that they truly do fall in love with each other. Like, that's just me though. Moving on to episode 3, it's really about their interactions between the three as a family now. There's not actually too much to really talk about. A lot of it is slice of life stuff.
よし、出かけよう。お出かけな。今日一日で普通の、いや、両家の家族としか見えんようになるはずだ。よし、次行こう。ここでは大きな声を出すなよ。
チーチー、すっぽんぽんすっぽんぽん。
大声出すなっていい。
But there are two important scenes towards the end. One being Anya in a crowd of people which are filled with negative emotion.
こういうところ苦手。
すまん、ちょっと怖かったな。
Now, I don't know exactly like how strong her Esper powers are. It seems like at this point it was just involuntary, that there were just too many people around her. But later in the episode, it'll show that she can pinpoint it and find out minds she wants to read individual, or at least pinpoint the sounds of them. So I'm really hoping that they dive deeper into like how her powers work or how she uses them exactly, because right now it's kind of just ambiguous. It's like whatever she wants to do with it. And as the series goes on, I'm sure she'll become more proficient at it. Even though right now is pretty OP, you know, she can just simply de facto read minds. It's not like she can hear fractions of minds, she can read them for sure. But it does seem too that the emotion has a certain weight to it. Here in a crowd full of negative emotions, it bears down on her too much. And this scene could be leading to a conflict within the world itself. Because right now, the world isn't as important as the characters. Generally, the world should never be more important than your characters, as the characters are the ones who drive the world. We can't name many facts in human history that didn't involve a human name. So hopefully there will be more characters that really dive into the world. But to be honest, I'm thinking that the show is mainly going to be about Anya in the school. And then the second most important part is that there's a thief, he steals an old lady's purse, and the family work together to solve the case.
夜さんには悪いが、こうなってはもう見つからんだろう。たんまり持ってやがるじゃんか。
ケーキ食べたい。
あいつ、歩き方の癖というのはそうそう変えられんものだ。
I don't want any spoilers, by the way, so no one tell me spoilers if you've read the manga. I have not read it. I'm going to buy the volumes when they come out here in the States, if they haven't already. On top of if the parents will find out that each of them are a spy and assassin, will they find out that Anya is an Esper? I think that's very important too. It'll change the whole dynamic of their family. You know, this could either destroy their family or enhance it. So it's really at the flip of a coin here. Anything could happen. So that's episode 3. At this point, Spy Family is comfortable with this storytelling. By the first 3 episodes, the family has finally interacted and bonded with each other, that we can now believe that they are a family. And not just as a role, they're starting to learn that maybe they are truly a family. And I do like found family. I believe that not always will your blood be the greatest family for you, that you can find new family. I'm not one to believe because they birthed you, or that you're related by blood, that you have to love these people. You can always find new family, especially if the ones that you have now are mistreating you or anything else like that. Now, I'm not saying like every kid, because every teenager feels angsty at some point in time, that they should say, I hate my parents because I didn't get my way. I'm saying like in cases of abuse and stuff like that, where your family just leaves you to dry, you can always find new family. Twilight and Yor aren't her real parents, but they still care for her like any real parent would. And I believe that's an important thing to portray. It's not easy having to come to terms that, you know, either your parents didn't want you, or even if they died. And so finding family and new people is a hard journey. And I'm glad that Spy Family is at least willing to address it. Episode 3 has the proper ending to it, which is sung by Gen Hoshino, who is a big Japanese musician out there. It's kind of crazy. But I mean, it's Shonen Jump, so they have a lot of money. And once again, we get a very stylistic ending. You know, it's not crazy out there like the opening, but at least it looks nice. And I adore anime dancing scenes. So when the family are all together and they're dancing, I love it so much. It reminds me of Kekai Sensen. So overall, I love the ending. I think I like the ending a bit more than I like the opening. I would take a whole episode of the Forger family just dancing and stuff. But through the ending, this is why I say Anya is the main character. She's the protagonist because she has all the potential to grow. Twilight and Yor were already their protagonists of their own stories. They've already gone through their growth. They've already developed their abilities. Of course, they're making new ones here now as parents, but it would be far more engaging to see Anya grow as to them. Now, I just want to talk about episode 4 real quick. I'm not going to talk about the whole episode. There's just one scene in particular that I want to talk about. Without a doubt, they're telling you that she's getting into school. You can see it kind of as a waste of time, but I mean, whatever. It's to each their own. The comedy is an important aspect of this show.
今のままと前のまま、質問の変更をお願いします。ダメだ。この学校ではやっていけんぞ。なんということもない。我慢だ。黄昏かがいましたもので、まだ終わってないぞ。子供の気持ちを軽んじるのが貴校の教育理念なのでしたら、選ぶ学校を間違えました。
And from that line alone is what made me decide this was a shonen about family. I'm pretty sure other people have figured that out too. That alone set the record for me, at least. This is my bias, of course. Like I said, I think teaching children the right thing is important, but also respecting children's feelings is important as well. There's gonna be a lot of times, maybe some of you are parents, where you know a kid's gonna say something weird, or they're not gonna make a lot of sense to you, but at the end of the day, they're still feeling something. It's still important to them. Because they're kids, they don't know any better yet. And it's our role to make sure they understand that we empathize with them. And that's the bare minimum we can do. Empathize with them. At least understand that they're feeling something. Now, I'm hoping that Twilight never goes through a 180 or his characterization becomes bastardized, because so far, I really like this character. In fact, I love all of the Forgers. They're all great characters. Now, I just want to wrap this up. By the time you watch this video, I've already watched episode 5, so whatever opinions I have on that will be whatever.
ユウさん
All the praise I've been giving the show could go down the drain. I hope not, but we'll see. I think it's a breath of fresh air for Shonen Jump, but it's not like we haven't seen parenting anime before. There's been quite a few of them. I think Sweetness and Lightning is one of them. It's one I watched a long time ago, which has a character that's sort of similar to Anya, obviously without the superpowers. Feel like the audience might be people like me in their late 20s, early 30s. As any older, I don't know. Especially as a parent, would this show really change your parenting style? I don't think so. I would hope anime doesn't develop your parenting style. At least, you know, give you inklings of things you might want to do. Do young people really relate to Twilight and Yor? I don't know. I mean, Yor is just super eye candy, I would assume. To some people. I mean, seeing on Twitter, she is super eye candy. People love her. By the way, her sweater is goddamn crazy. That's like the next Virgin Killer sweater. There's gonna be so many cosplays of it. I know it's not as revealing as a Virgin Killer sweater. Just the little back section alone is so appealing. I have to give props to Yor's character design in general. It's a stunningly attractive design. Anyway, Spy Family is a definite must watch. I think there's very little demerits to the show. It's consistent in quality, and I really hope that WIT Studio finds success in this show, as I know WIT Studio has been going through a lot ever since they left with Attack on Titan, but hopefully this show is something that they can really push out and it'll bring them more success. With all that said and done, I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.